Take a Pew. Hello everyone, Ian Wishart here. Now, as it's mid-January, we should really be recording Season 2 of Take A Pew, but poor old Simon's got COVID, so we've had to put that back a bit. And so we thought we'd fill the gap with a little highlights reel from Season 1. Now, we've had 12 great chats, and of course we always start by saying hello. It's usually me that does that, but when we met with Kent Rector Julian Staniforth, Simon kicked us off.
Hello everyone, it's Simon Clark here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Take A Pew.
Oi, 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 what's going on?
Hello mate, well you weren't here, so I just started without you.
Oh, right. And by the way, what's all that? Hello, everyone.
Well, it's what you say, isn't it? Hello everyone.
I don't go, hello, everyone.
I think you do, mate.
Whatever, it's my job to introduce the show.
Oh, well, go on.
Hello, everyone.
Oi, sorry mate.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to... Sorry. Welcome to another outing of the Take A Pew Podcast. As you've probably noticed, Simon is here with me.
Hello everyone.
Stop it!
Yes, what a cheeky monkey. Now, our guests have covered many different denominations, including our Roman Catholic guest, Father Alex Hill, who was particularly pleased to see us.
Father Alex, welcome to the show, and please, take a pew.
Well, thank you, Ian and Simon. You are most welcome to Our Lady's Church. You'll be pleased to know we stopped burning people like you a few years ago. It did draw the crowds, but the environment came first. So you are most welcome to Our Lady's.
Thank you, thank you.
But in any case, Guildford Town Centre Chaplain Noel Coe reminds us that we treat all shapes and sizes equally.
But I think all denominations bring something really special.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Good answer.
Apart from the Baptists, I think. And there we had one of the many tumbleweed moments when I said something I maybe shouldn't have said. Of course, I was joking. Now, in our first regular feature in each show, we look at our guests' school days.
What were you like at school? Were you a little bit geeky? Or were you a little bit freaky? Or were you a little bit cheeky? What were you like at school?
Most of our guests were, as you'd expect, model pupils, but a couple were more of a pickle. Here's another Kent vicar, Ravi Holy. Yes, that is his real name.
Well, I think it's probably fair to say that I would have been the person least likely to be a vicar at any of the schools I went to. I was nearly kicked out of my prep school,
Okay.
and I was actually kicked out of Eton just after my 16th birthday.
Eton.
Yeah,
The famous Eton.
the famous Eton.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was kicked out not for one cataclysmic event, just for generally being a rebel pain in the neck. And I think if there was one cataclysmic event, it was probably getting a Mohican. So yeah, but I gave myself a Mohican by accident, to be honest. It wasn't, I didn't set out to do it. I was just trying to give myself a haircut and it went badly wrong. So, and it didn't go down very well.
And then there was Gavin Calver, head of the Evangelical Alliance.
I was a bit of a naughty boy, used to get in a lot of mischief. I'll tell you a story that sums up what I was like at school. Yeah. At my school, they were opening a new building and Princess Margaret was coming to open it. And me and two other people, which would not be who you'd have expected, were called to the head teacher's office and told that we would be in the back car park because she would come to the back car park in order to avoid the sort of mess and noise of the front. I was so honoured. I mean, I was thinking, what on earth have you picked us three for? We cause all the problems. We're in this back car park for about an hour and a half. And then I say to the teacher, when's Princess Margaret coming? What's happening? And he says, she's been and she's gone again. You three were put in this back car park in order to make sure that you didn't cause any problems.
We also talked about what our guest got up to outside school, and this gave Wimbledon vicar Charlie Lamont the opportunity to question our quirky sense of humour.
I was invited to do county gymnastics as an 8-year-old.
Is that where you count as you do gymnastics? Yeah. Is that what they...
Come on, Ian, does this sell?
What?
Well, Charlie, it doesn't technically sell, but we have had over 3,500 listens, so it can't be all bad, but it's a fair point. Now, when we got to episode 8 with URC Minister Lucy Briley, we launched a new feature. Here's the jingle and Lucy's answer.
What's your fondest childhood memory? What's your fondest of all your childhood memories? What's your fondest?
Oh.
Yes, so there we go. Brand new feature. I love it. I love
that.
it.
That's a really good jingle. I like it. Me and my brother and sister were friends, would just play hide and seek in the pews. It was just so much fun to tear around, hide, play.
And playing hide and seek didn't disrupt the service too much?
But we didn't do it during the service.
Oh,
You never told her.
I thought that was the whole point. I think I might try a game of hide and seek at church on Sunday. Now, while Lucy looked back fondly at growing up in Swanage, Dorset-based Lewis Pearson immediately went to a more agricultural memory.
Now, there's one that always sticks out
Yes.
to me, and I think it must have been a 4th or 5th birthday, and I remember getting a ride-on tractor. Which was just incredible, with a little digger bucket and stuff. But I absolutely adored this little tractor and riding it around the garden. I remember vividly that morning getting that.
Our chats on the podcast then moved to the journeys towards priesthood. Two of our guests initially had a different plan. First, Julian Staniforth, and then Alex Hill.
I was at that point in my early teens thinking about maybe I would grow up to be an RAF pilot.
Wow. Originally, I was going to join the Royal Navy as a pilot. I'd watched Top Gun. I knew I wanted to be a naval aviator.
Wow. What you might call high-flying ambitions, ho-ho. Talking of flying, just occasionally we'd have moments of serendipity while recording. Here's Lucy again, talking about flying back from a gap year in Namibia to attend a selection conference.
I, in the middle of that time, flew back to London to the selection conference.
Yeah, and we go to such lengths on this show that we've actually organised for the sound of an aircraft as you talk about flying back.
Wow, that's impressive.
So we can hear you
There we go.
flying back
Just imagine it.
to the UK. Isn't that amazing?
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I doubt if you'd actually get from Namibia to London in a Cessna, but you get the idea. Many of our guests took quite a while to answer the call to a dog collar, but the same Lucy was rather different.
At the age of 5, I said to my mum, I'm going to be a minister when I grow up. And my mum sort of said, oh, that's nice, dear.
Yeah,
you know, like she
I
would,
think most,
you know.
most people do, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
For Lewis Pearson, the reality of a calling came somewhat later, but was equally clear.
The pivotal moment was a moment when I'd been visiting Brighton with my friend who was the vicar at that particular church in Alderholt, and I remember it so clearly. We were approaching a roundabout on the outskirts of Brighton and just chatting away, and he said, "You ever thought about getting ordained?" It was as simple as that.
We heard of some extraordinary adventures in our guests' lives. The richest source of these was Ashvale vicar Neil Lambert, who certainly got around. Here he is talking about a part-time job in a Tokyo fast food establishment.
Turns out they were Yakuza. I thought, just a minute, some of them have got a lot of tattoos and little fingers missing. It turned out that these were mafia.
Oh, really?
And the whole shop was a cover for some naughty stuff that was going on.
Wow.
I think to do with arms trade.
Gosh.
But I remember one day another gang came with guns, and they had a standoff. And I was just watching it. I thought, I think I'm going to leave this job.
But they paid you, I guess.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, very nicely. In cocaine.
I'm pretty sure that last bit is untrue. Meanwhile, Ian Wallace from Yate told us of his time in South Sudan.
Part of that was because it was set against this tension of the civil war emerging. And
did you really feel that?
We were right at the heart of the first event that kicked it off. For about the last 6 months, we knew that people from the Dinka and Nuer tribe had been going across into Ethiopia to training camps to prepare for some sort of rebellion. Right. This group of rebels arrived and said, well, what do we do now? And somebody happened to mention, well, there's a group of expatriates in a sort of mission station just up on the hill. So they decided to take them hostage.
Wow. Yeah.
Within 24 hours, there were three guys staying at our guest house in Juba called Tom, Dick and Harry, and it was quite clear that it wasn't their names, that, you know, and they were.
Could have been anyone.
They were CIA. The hostages apparently were quite badly beaten.
Oh, gosh.
But the following morning, they woke to hear the sound of gunfire, and then they knew and were able to get. And thankfully, all of them were rescued and brought back.
Not to be outdone, Neil used his Japanese tea case to travel to more exotic places.
I went to Pakistan, travelled up onto the northwest frontier and met the Taliban. And I took my tea case with me, so I thought, I'll drink tea with people. Like have tea with the Taliban. A couple of pickups full of Taliban arrived. They all jumped out with their guns. I thought, oh my goodness.
Did they say, cup of tea, Governor?
I said, before we have a cup of tea, we're going to have some shooting practice. We're going to do a bit of shooting practice. And one of them just threw this gun at me. You have a shot. So I'd never even held a gun before. And there was a Coke bottle that they'd set up on a stone way over there. I just thought, oh, better do this. So I pulled the trigger, bang, and I got it. Wow. I hit the bottle. They went berserk. They were carrying me on their shoulders, walking around going, doing their Pathan sort of Afghan thing, which was lovely people, really nice people to hang out with.
Good old Neil, lovely people. Back on the road to ordination, Julian was perhaps influenced by an early brushing of shoulders with the great and good. This time while he was living in Paris and attending St. George's Church.
Did you say there were a couple of celebrity people kind of came out of that church as well, or were there?
Yeah, I mean, during my time though, so looking back, there was a certain young oil executive there, and his wife at the time, and I remember him standing up and doing a talk, and of course he turns out to be somebody people now know as the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Once on the final straight to priesthood, it wasn't always straightforward. Charlie Lamont struggled to find a home.
So I had to be released from Norwich, which is you go back to the diocese that sent you.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I became a national
hero.
Option. Option for
national
the church.
Option.
Yeah.
Well, we think Charlie's time as a national hero, or maybe even national treasure, is still to come. Ravi Holy, who had shared with us his remarkable backstory of drugs and alcohol, and of having been in a Pentecostal church, faced a different challenge when seeking selection for training in the Church of England.
But then obviously I had to convince the Church of England that I was a suitable candidate. You can see that they would have had a few concerns. Interestingly, they were more concerned about me having been a Pentecostal than having been a drug addict, genuinely.
Now, just as an aside here, despite success in becoming a vicar, Ravi still has a mischievous streak, and indeed moonlights as a stand-up comedian, a hobby which started some time ago.
Like I did Ali G, and in fact one of the best jokes in my set that I do now came from that time, which was like I said to the guy, so I have a question for you, vicar, then. If Jesus was the Son of God, right? How come he was so ugly? And the person playing the vicar says, where did you get the idea Jesus was ugly? He goes, well, I remember at school they said to me that he was born a minger. So that one went down very well last night, actually.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's a good one. Well, it went down very well this morning.
That's brilliant. We shouldn't laugh, really. And indeed, being a priest hasn't always been a laughing matter for Alex Hill. First a brush with a rather unfriendly parishioner who interrupted a service.
At the beginning of Mass, and I had the Book of Gospels, which is a big, thick book, and he came up to me and pulled a knife. So I pushed the Gospel book into the knife and just pushed him out the church. Wow. I was saved by the Gospel.
Gosh. There we go.
Hallelujah. Indeed, the life of a priest isn't all leafy parishes. Lucy had an interesting time during her training.
I ought to mention that the middle year, the placement year, was in Tottenham, in the middle of just a vibrant, brilliant, multicultural community that was also full of need and crime and gangs. It was the sort of place, though, where you could see the end of your road on Crime Watch quite regularly.
Yeah. And here's Alex again, describing what happened when he moved to West London and got caught up in a drug gang feud.
Lovely place. The first Friday I was there, which happened to be Good Friday, somebody let a machine gun off down my drive. Being very Hollywoody, they fired their submachine gun out the window, so it just sprayed upwards. hit the garage, hit the house. So I had a nice bullet hole in my headlight.
But on Take A Pew, we don't just discuss things that are life-threatening, we talk about things that are life-enhancing. Indeed, our guests' favourite things.
My favourite things.
On our first show with our local curate, Mark Potter, we explained how My Favourite Things works.
It's a very simple game, Mark. We'll give you a category such as, I don't know, your children, and you tell us your favourite.
Brilliant.
Easy, right? Yeah.
What can go wrong? I mean,
so let's start with
your wife or this other woman.
Brilliant.
Yeah, let's not go there.
We'll come to that later.
Needless to say, we didn't come to that later. Now, we all start with the favourite book of the Bible, where we've had a good range of answers, but Psalms is the clear winner so far. And our third category is always a top 5, and we've seen some great enthusiasm and, dare I say, some seriousness when our guests get stuck into this, something conceded by Ravi Holy in picking his favourite movies.
The top 4 is quite easy.
Okay.
So the top 4 in chronological order.
Right.
I'm really geeky
Wow.
about movies. I mean,
Love
it's terrifying.
Guildford Cathedral canon Chris Hollingshurst, meanwhile, gave us a passionate and very well-researched rundown of his top 5 albums, albeit I got a bit confused when he talked about a great singer Imelda May.
She's just extraordinary.
Very good, isn't it? Imelda May. Wasn't she also the Prime Minister of the Philippines or something at some point?
I believe that might have been Imelda Marcos.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Wife of the president.
I was thinking it was quite a strange, in the same way I always thought it was very strange Ravel moved from composition to shoe shops.
Well, it seems Chris at least pretends to understand my sense of humour. In a similar vein, Mark Potter was very happy to give us an in-depth analysis of his top 5 films. His number 1 was The Empire Strikes Back, and here's his answer when Simon asked him his very favourite bit of that film.
You know, the dinner with Darth Vader. They go through, don't they? And Darth Vader sort of says, "We'd be delighted if you'd join us," and she like.
Without doubt, the best Wookiee impression we've had on the show. In an attempt to appeal to our younger audience, we asked Charlie Lamont to choose his favourite app. I think he went for TikTok, but as a 30-year-old was confused when I suggested I still used Telex.
And Telex, of course, works quite
Telex.
well.
What is
Yeah,
Telex?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's really old.
Telex. Do you mean Teletext?
No.
What's
Teletext? Telex. Anyway, we won't go there. We haven't got time for that.
No, please don't.
You can Google. Actually, I don't know if you can. If you Google Telex, would it break the universe? I think the world would fall apart if you Googled Telex.
Our last category is always multiple choice, but not necessarily the choices you might expect. Noelle had spoken of her love for mountainous countries, so we chose this category for her.
Final category, and this is a multiple choice category, okay? And it's your favourite hill. Notting Hill, comedian Harry Hill, or Hillary Clinton. Your favourite hill.
And then there was rural priest Lewis Pearson.
So, firstly, the Christian festival Spring Harvest, the cute and cuddly Harvest Mouse, or a Harvester restaurant.
I do love a Harvester restaurant. I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely a Harvester.
Obvious answer, I think. I say it's always multiple choice, by the way, but that's not strictly true. Here's me trying to pose a simple question to Charlie.
Right, last category.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's a multiple choice one, normally.
Good.
But it's not multiple choice this time.
Okay.
Okay, sort of. The category, because
you have regular viewers.
Yes.
They will be upset.
Of course.
Needs to be warned.
Pay attention. Come on.
I'm going to do that again, actually. So, great. And our last category is one... No. You confused me. It was what I did was fine. What are you talking about? Right, here we go. So our last category is your favourite Charlie. Now, quite normally, I will make this a multiple choice and I'll give you a range of possible answers.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to leave it open field, free form for you. Your favourite Charlie.
My favourite Charlie?
Favourite Charlie.
Charles Spurgeon.
Charles the Sturgeon.
No, Charles Spurgeon.
Charles.
That's so embarrassing.
Oh dear.
That's ridiculous.
I did think he said Charles the Sturgeon. I thought, what a strange name for a fish. Oh dear. That was much funnier than I thought.
Good guess there, guys.
Even though I was expecting it.
What consummate broadcasters we are. And that brings us on to lunch.
Tell us, Reverend, what's in your lunchbox?
It was amazing that our guests humoured us by actually bringing a packed lunch. The content, however, was sometimes a bit odd. Here's Mark again.
Ham and mustard sandwich, English mustard.
Oh, English mustard, yeah. Oh.
Yeah,
just for old bap times.
And what I do, I roll the ham so that it's got a bit of texture to it.
You roll the ham?
Yeah, you know you can put ham flat on a sandwich.
Is that a euphemism? Sorry.
It's not a euphemism.
Right.
And some got a little overexcited at the prospect of their chosen snack.
It's gone soggy, and why has it gone soggy?
Because it's Marmite and tomato. That's why.
Wow.
Marmite and tomato.
Look at that.
Marmite and tomato, clearly a special treat in the Hollingsworth household. Noel, however, took a slightly different approach.
Why do people go for egg mayonnaise?
I love egg mayonnaise. Nice
and
thick bread.
White happy bread.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I could.
But I see you've taken the format slightly different direction by bringing what you hate to have for lunch.
Duly fed and watered, we embark on the final straight of the show, starting with our famous myth-busting feature.
Is it true? Is it true? Is it true? Is it true?
We've cracked some pretty complex conspiracy theories about the Bible, including Moses tucking his beard into his sandals, Jesus having a pet gerbil, and this particularly controversial question for Gavin Calver.
Now, this time, this has worked out really well because our quandary concerns the book of Acts. And I know that you and I both love the book of Acts. And we've read on the internet that despite Luke's normally meticulous eye for detail, he fails to mention that Paul, on his Mediterranean missions, actually travelled aboard his own 280-foot luxury super yacht, the Gospel of the Seas. So, Reverend Gavin Calver, is it true?
If it is, it changes a lot of stuff, doesn't it? If Paul had a luxury yacht. If it was true, right?
Yeah.
Which obviously is ridiculous, but if it was true, it's
What do you mean
amazing.
it's ridiculous? How dare you?
It's amazing how much of your understanding of Paul has suddenly changed.
Yeah.
Changed indeed, but clearly nonsense. And thankfully, we move quickly on so that our guests, amid all the mayhem, can bring us a spiritual pearl of wisdom.
It's a spiritual pearl of wisdom.
Here's just 3 messages from Alex Hill, Gavin Calver, and firstly, Mark Potter.
Yeah, is this guy Jesus who he says he is? Is he just a figment of somebody's imagination? Is he an historical figure? Is he actually, as C.S. Lewis says, Lord and God? I would rigorously try and sort of tear it apart in a way and find out who this Jesus was. So that's it.
For me, there's one thing that I always come back to, and that's for every Good Friday in life, God always gives you an Easter day. And for me, that gets me through most things.
And I think the key for us in this season is to not think everyone's experienced what you've experienced. Is to not think you know necessarily where they're at, but actually to ask the Lord for compassion. Because we need to treat every person as an individual. We need to reach out to them in the way they need to be reached out to. And then we need to tell them of the hope we have in Jesus.
A little glorious respite from the madness. But the inanity is never far away as we close the show with...
Simon's Random Question.
Yes, Simon's random question. Completely pointless questions that Simon insists upon. Although even then, you don't always get the answers you might expect.
Well, my random question for you, Noel, is what?
What?
Yes, what?
What?
No, but what is your question?
Correct.
What?
Oh, no. Sorry, I've done it again. The rest of my question is over the page. Noel, my random question for you is... what is the largest thing you have ever eaten?
Oh, that's a good question.
Could be the largest actual bit of food or bit of large thing, like a shark or a buffalo or a whale or anything.
Actually, it was probably fudge.
Fudge?
If you get the whole packet and you stuff it in your mouth, that you can sort of, where it sort of dribbles out, your cheeks, you look like chipmunks. Fantastic.
Wow.
Can you unhinge your jaws like some of those kind of
You can with
snakes
fudge.
do and just put the whole lot in?
With fudge you can.
Gosh.
Fudge. As you heard there, despite the simple format, Simon doesn't always get it right. Here he is again with Ian Wallace.
My random question this week is, Ian, would you rather have a courgette or a pizza?
Good question.
Yes, very random. I think it has to be a pizza.
Sorry to interrupt, Ian. I turned over 2 pages at once. I actually missed the start of my question. The whole question is, if you were due to play a really important game of tennis and you were not allowed to use a racket, then instead of a racket, would you rather have a courgette or a pizza?
I think my answer would have to stick with the pizza.
Oh, right.
Because I think it's probably, with all that sort of molten cheese, you could potentially stick it onto your hand, couldn't you?
Yeah.
And then stand some chance of getting the ball back with a bit of top spin on it, maybe. Yes. Topping spin, that's right. Yes, topping spin, yes.
And our last example of Simon's random question comes from our very first episode. And may I assure you that no elephants or chickens were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Okay, so Mark, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
That's a very, very good question, and I'm really glad you've asked it.
The elephant's trunk is a massive area of weakness, isn't it?
It is.
Because if you could get a grenade up its trunk... Can you envisage an
but it'd be hard.
An elephant frantically
trying
to get a grenade out of his trunk?
But you'd have to disguise a grenade as something, otherwise he wouldn't take it.
Disguise it as a chicken.
Well, it seemed funny at the time. And there we go. All that then remains is for us to thank our guest and close the show. That can't be hard, can it?
Well, Charlie, thank you for welcoming us here. I'll do it again. Well, Charlie, thank you for welcoming us. Oh, I can't say it. I said it wrong last time, didn't I?
Shall I say it? No, you get it. I'll probably get it wrong as well.
I'll try and say it because I can't think what else to say. Well, Charlie, thank you for welcoming us here. Welcoming us. Well, Charlie, thank you for welcoming us to the home of tennis.
I never did quite get that right. And I don't use that expression anymore. And there you have it. Season 1 of the Take A Pew Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed listening. And please tune in to Season 2, which will drop, COVID permitting, in early February. Until then, it's Toodle Bit from me. And join us again next time as we take a pew. Take a pew.